Hey YouTube, my Flying V. This last year, I went through a lot of Flying Vs, like three in a month, sort of in November or something like that. It's kind of weird the way things always seem to come in groups. But the reason I never kept, I had a rally Flying V which eventually turned into a Buckfast one. The reason I didn't keep it is because I already had a Flying V. This one, so this is an Arbiter brand. Oh, is the light good? Maybe not that good. You can see it says so on the truss rod cover. But I reckon this is a Matsumoku build. It's a bolt-on neck. And it's got the steel adjustable neck thing written on it like Arias do. You can see it's had a little bit of a hard life. I got this in a sorry state. All the parts were there, but it was a mess and I paid sod all for it because it was a mess. But it lives again. I had to do a neck repair. Headstock was not off it, but hanging off it. The scratch plate had been entirely covered in duct tape, gaffer tape, like 20 years before I got it, and it was absolutely horrible looking. I was going to cut myself another scratch plate for it, so I peeled off all the gaffer tape. I couldn't believe that it cleaned up to actually look quite nice. Same with the body, there was bits of gaffer tape all over, bits of it, and I just went over and cleaned it up. The back has been, I think somebody started to decide they were going to go for a natural finish, so they sanded it down. I kind of stained it so it doesn't look as bad. It looks pretty bad on the back, but you don't see it from the front, and you don't see it from the top, which is what I see when I'm playing it, so I just left it. Yeah. So this has had some upgrades, like old school upgrades from the 70s or 80s. I think this is probably, I don't know, I can't find the exact model of Aria, but Arbiter that's Dallas Arbiter. They made it's a London shop, and they made is it the Rangemaster pedal, like Hendrix and all that use. So and they also imported Japanese guitars. So this one, it says made in Japan on the back. So this one has Grover tuners added to it, but not normal Grovers. These are old school. See, they've got like a sort of concentric rings thing going on about them. They're very heavy and very quality feeling. This pickup hasn't been changed. If you look there, you can see there's two holes. For one, it's just meant to have, like, obviously this originally had the three screw pickups, so these aren't original. You can tell that it's not these. It's not that hole is not original, because look how far the distance between. There's nothing like in the middle between those two holes. So I think that's a Maxon pickup from, you see them in Ibanez Flying V's. This is a 1970, I can't remember exactly the year, Dirty Fingers pickup. It's a rare one because it's got gold pole pieces on it, 2 rows of adjustable pole pieces, and I think they only made it for a year and only came in one guitar. Back in those days you couldn't buy guitar pickups separately, so it came in a 1975 Gibson Flying V, I think, something like that. The bridge isn't a bridge, it's a Brige, Brige, it says on the back of it. I have seen before, I've seen a tailpiece there on the back, but this isn't a tailpiece. It says made in Japan on it, but it doesn't say LP tailpiece, which is, I've definitely had one somewhere before. So I'm not sure which one of these would be original. It says LP Brige, made in Japan on it. I wired it up myself when I got it, and I made that the bridge volume, that the neck volume, and that a master tone. I'm not sure what it was meant to be. Yeah, it's nearly it there. I noticed when I was playing it, this is the second video I've tried to do. I did one of these and it was a minute ago and it was 25 minutes long, and I didn't really feel I was playing very well. Hopefully I'll play better in this one. And it won't be 25 minutes long either. I did notice there that which happened before with me with my Aria Urchin. It had a Gibson T-top pickup in it that I took out and sold. But when I got it, it was out of phase with the other one when you've got it in the middle. Because I think this era of Gibson pickups are wired, well, not necessarily backwards, but the opposite way round from what you would normally expect. You often get that. See, if you're putting like a humbucker into a Squire Strat or something like that, you'll find that the humbucker's the other way around from the single coils. So maybe that's why the Gibson ones are that way. If you put this like a Gibson pickup into a Strat, you wouldn't have to reverse it. So it's out of phase when you're in the middle position, which I never noticed before, to be honest. So when I got this a couple of years ago, I did do a video of it, but now I've got them improved. Well, I've now got my super advanced light diffuser. Instead of having one bit of A4 sellotape to the roof, I've now got 2 bits, which has kind of dulled it down, which I think is kind of a good medium. And actually, because I never really set this guitar up when I got it before, and the last one. I've got a better mic now as well. But and I've now polished the frets, and there was a couple of high ones, and it's now playing better than it was. It was playing good anyway, but now, like a bad guitar badly set up, like a good guitar badly set up can still play. I just didn't realise you can get it an awful lot better than what it was. So I'm just going to be blast. I'm playing through my wee Laney VC15, and I'm going through my Darth Vader cab, which is cool. It's hard to go back to just using the wee 10-inch speaker when you've got that. Might as well because it's sitting there. Not that I really needed it. Yeah, so, yep, if I stop the tuner, it'll turn on the amp. So a wee bit of clean, which is not really, for me, a Flying V doesn't do clean, but there you go. So neck pickup. First pickup. And then both of them on. See that there's your sync out of phase, which kind of has a slightly when you knock one of the volumes down, it becomes more phased. It's a slightly more single coil sound, I think. A solo over that. Okay, that'll do it. I'll solo over that then. Try and keep this down to a relatively short video. Hard not to hit rock poses the whole time when I'm Flying V. Learn how to hit right notes. Try and delay for 2 seconds because I keep trying to use it and I hate it. Totally. Well, you put the phaser and that on at the same time. unfortunately, the way I've got my room set up just now, I can't actually stand in the proper Flying V stance. I don't want to stand between the mic and the speaker. But a Flying V, actually, you want to be standing like this, but I'm in front of the speaker. If you want to know how to play a Flying V, watch, or how to pose with a Flying V, you should watch KK Downing from Judas Priest. In fact, his replacement guy, is it Richie Faulkner, is pretty good at it as well. They're good at the old, you know, maybe don't do it if you're as fat as me, but you know what I mean, kind of bit of stomping and that kind of thing. Yeah, it's actually a wee bit neck heavy, this one. Well, maybe not that much. Okay, it's a little bit. Yeah, what I'm noticing, this came with this totally cool rainbow strap, which is very clearly from the 70s, and it's a Dr. Songs guitar straps, which is pretty cool. The thing I don't like that much about it is it's made of this material, and it's like a serrated edge rubbing against my neck. So I reckon see if you were to do like a, you know, maybe a 3-hour set or something like that, it might actually cut your head off, which would be difficult. So I'd maybe get a less aggressive strap if you're going to be playing it live. Alright, so well, let's be finished the video now anyway. So what's better is that this lighting more use to you? Is this better? Is that better? Actually, how can that possibly seem darker than it did with the second piece of paper in? I mean, I'm literally just putting a piece of paper in front of the light. Let me just put the camera not. Yeah, so am I better having that on? Well, obviously it's dark just now outside, or am I better having this on as well? Don't know. So there's a question for you. Another thing before I finish off with the Flying V, this is so I'm not exactly 100% sure when this is from. There is an area called an FV, for Flying V, 550, I think, which looks very similar to this, apart from it's a set neck, and it's from 1978 to 1980. And I found another one of these online, if you just type in Matsumoku Flying V. Someone's got, it's not Pinterest, but it's some mad photo sharing thing which isn't on, and someone has one of these. It doesn't say arbiter on the truss rod, but in one of the photos it's got the arbiter one sitting next to it, so the guy's bought a replacement one, so he didn't want it to say arbiter on it. His has the same neck bolt, but it's got a serial number on it. This one doesn't have a serial number on it, so I'm wondering if that makes it earlier than what his is. So looking at it, I think it might be early 70s. It seems, just from having played, it seems older than most of my other guitars. You know, I'm right into my 80s one, so I've got sort of 1980 to sort of 82, 83 is, it seems to be my peak for finding the guitars I like. This, I think, is earlier than that. It might not be. I don't think it's. I mean, it could be the same age. I don't think it's newer. I don't think it's late 80s or anything like that. It's too 70s-y, if you know what I mean. I don't know when these things were getting made. But one of the things I do think it is, I think it's the same guitar as James Hetfield from Metallica. Famously plays a white Gibson Flying V, but isn't a Gibson Flying V, although he does have a Gibson truss rod on it. It's a Japanese one. I think it's pretty much exactly the same as this guitar, apart from his was branded Electra, which would be an American one. It wouldn't be called Arbiter because it's a shop in London, so that would only be for Britain. Like, the Arbiter, like a lot of these, like your Rose Morris and stuff, guitars, they did, although they had their own brand of guitars, there's nothing to say that they were anything like each other. You know, it's like maybe one year these were made in Japan, and then the following year they would get them made in a different factory. Slightly looks much the same, but a completely different guitar. Absolutely nothing in common with this apart from it's got the same logo on it, and maybe even at the same year they would have like a Strat copy and a Les Paul copy, and the Strat copy would be made in Fujigen, and the Les Paul would be made in Matsumoku or whatever. I think they would just buy a pallet of Flying V's from whoever gave them the best price, really, or something like that. So it's kind of hard to name all these. It's actually quite fun having the sort of obscure British models. They're not British, they're Japanese, but because it's hard to trace where they came from. It's quite interesting. But this is a quality guitar. So last year, the end half of last year, I went through a lot of Flying V's. I had 4 Flying V's last year. I had an Epiphone one. It's mad, they all came within about a month as well. It's like, apart from that, I've had 1 Flying V and this one in the last 10 years. Like I've found that just appealed to me. Obviously there's other ones I could bought a new one or something. And then I ended up with an Epiphone, a white Epiphone Flying V, which was lovely. Rally Flying V, which was also lovely, very similar to the Epiphone one, and a Stag one, which had one of the horns was slightly shorter than the other, by design, obviously to avoid trademark infringement or something. That was pretty good as well. And I sold the Epiphone one. The Rally one I would have kept. The thing is, I would have kept the Epiphone one as well, but the whole time I knew I had this one, which is my V. This has been upstairs. I've not actually played it in a couple of years, but this was the one I wanted. It just kind of looks. I think it's a copy of the '67 Flying V. It's like you get the '58 original Flying V, which are worth £1 million if you've got an original one, but it's got like a slightly pointier head. It's the one with the metal. It doesn't have a stop tail. It's got like a metal V-shaped thing. It doesn't have a scratch plate like this. It's kind of. It might have a wee scratch plate, and it's got the knobs are in a row. There's a few wee differences. This would be the '67 shaped one, which I like. It's very cakey down in Judas Priest. Yeah, so of all the ones I had this year, I would have kept a couple of them. So I've got through the Epiphone one. I had the Rally one, which nobody bought, and then I ended up converting it into a Buckfast Flying V, and then the Stag. Was that a Stag? The one with the slightly off shaped, I turned into an Iron Brew V because it was the paint on it was really bad. And then somebody asked me on my Facebook page, next time you get a Flying V, it's like, I want an Iron Brew Flying V. And it's like, well, to be honest, 10 years I've only ever had 3, and I had them all just there, so the chances of me getting another one soon are pretty low. So he found out, he's like, alright, what if I buy one and get you to paint it? So I was like, yeah, I'll totally do that if you want. And he bought one, and it was one, I'd said before that I'd only ever had 2 Flying V's before. This one, and one that I did up and sold, it was that one. So it was great when I got it in to get it painted. I think I've done a video for it, the Iron Brew, the last Iron Brew V. And it was great getting in because everyone worked and it was all set up because it was me that did it 2 years ago or whatever it was. Like, yay! So it didn't really need any work apart from getting stripped, getting painted and put back together again. Rock and roll! I mean, I love the Flying V. It's such a strange thing to play. I mean, can you imagine what the world must have thought when this came out in 1958? It's like everyone was, when the Fender came out with his Telecaster, everyone's going, oh man, that's totally futuristic. That can't possibly be a musical instrument. And Gibson are trying to beat them, going like that. Well, look at this. I think they only made a couple hundred and nobody bought them. But I mean, even then, it's like, it's still, how can something be more from the future than a Flying V, even though it's like a 1958 design? Always blew me away. Couldn't believe it. I mean, but I remember when I was wee watching. Was it called The Sounds of the 70s, or it might have been called The Rock and Roll Years? I'm sure it had the intro thing. It was like a thing on BBC. I think it's just a sort of clip show from bits of the Old Grey Whistle test maybe. And it had like a Zebra Crossing. It might have even been the Abbey Road album cover. And it had guitars on it, sort of spinning really badly. Not computer generated, but animated guitars. And one of them was a Flying V spinning there. And I remember just seeing it and going like, that is just awesome. And you do feel awesome playing one. And maybe I need to lose my belly a little bit to get proper thing in it, but you really fling it about and it just hangs and it's just rocking. And even though I said this was going to be a shorter video than the one that I just didn't upload, it's actually turned out to be even longer, but hey, I was enjoying myself there. Took me a wee while to get back into what a Flying V does, it kind of makes you play a wee bit different, and it's like getting your leg in the back bits where you get down on it. Great fun. Rock and roll. Catch you later.